Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the fuck up.
And new undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael the Count Bisping.
This is Believe You Me on the Gas Digital Network.
All right, guys, we are back. It has been a week. Apologies we didn't get a second show in last week, but I was in Jacksonville, Florida for the epic week. 3 fights in 8 days, so just over a week. But I'm back. I'm home. Happy to be here. Had a great week. Going to break down all the action. Lewis, my friend. What's up, my friend? Doggy, buddy, pal, friend. We're giving each other too many compliments.
It was a little bit weird today. Me and Bisping both. Usually when we start the show, it's mired in
Tension City.
Yeah, and it's nothing to do with me and Bisping. It's the outside forces, whatever it is. A wire could be off. Fucking something's running late. The internet's not working. Computer's not working. The
microphone last show was garbage. I couldn't find the mic stand. I have that now. That was bringing in a little, frustration.
We're very good. Typically, we sort of reset and go, all right, breathe. We're cool. And then we go in. But today it's been all fucking love. And then it's been all love. And then the first thing out, Michael Bisping stumbles his opening line and says, hello, my friend. How are you, my friend?
Yes, I know, which is terrible. For the world-renowned podcasters that we are now, Lewis, geez Louise. As we said, 3 massive fight cards. Hey, listen, a lot of people were shitting on the UFC for doing that, but I've got to say, and I'm not being Mr. UFC company man, but you got to take your hat off to what they just did there, Lewis. 3 fight nights in 8 days. That's fucking insane. It really is. The amount of logistics, getting the fighters there, getting them tested, USADA, the weigh-ins, everything. Do you know how hard that is to pull off? I got to say, everyone at the UFC, all the backstage people, the officials, the doctors, it's just a massive, well-oiled machine. So there's so many people that work there. So all those people, I take my hat off to you. Congratulations to all of you. Of course, Dana White as well. But most importantly, the fighters, because they all absolutely delivered. As I say, we'll get into them. But what's new in your world, Lewis, before we do that?
Nothing much, man. I am just trying to get myself back in shape. Now we have shifted the weather here in New York City. It's a little bit nicer. And every time this happens during this time of year, I snap back into it. It's a weather thing. I get nice and fat during the winter. And then I spend all spring trying to get back in shape. Summertime, I spend a month or two actually getting back in shape. And then there's usually 3 or 4 days at the end of the summer that I'm in shape, taking a couple nice pictures, and then back to putting on the weight for the holiday season. So that's where I'm at now. I'm 8 days into a very special challenge, and I think we should issue the challenge to all Believe You Me podcast listeners because Harrington's doing it as well. Bisping, you could maybe do it. You could, to be honest, I'll tell you the challenge is to run. You got to run for 30 minutes per day for 30 days straight. I know you're having issues running, but if you see the times that me and Harrington are putting up, I think you can hop faster.
Yeah, well, I have seen it. It's roughly 2.5 miles in 30 minutes. It's not that bad, but it's not great. But I thought this was what you were going to be talking about. And I have a little bit of, just tiptoe around the issue that I can't run. I used to love running loose.
You can't tiptoe.
I can't tiptoe. I can't run. I could hop faster than that. Maybe not. It depends. But Jesus, Lewis, you trying to rub this in my face. Have a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Discretion,
a little bit of sensitivity.
Sensitivity. You need some sensitivity training. I'm here. I can't walk. I can't run. I can hop, but that would look weird. Me, you, and Harrington hopping down fucking, through Times Square. You two running and me still out hopping. Yeah, it'd be bizarre. In fact, we need to film that. But still, sensitivity, please.
Who wins in a 3-legged race? Okay, the big 3 podcasts of MMA comedian combos. Me and you, 3-legged race versus Brendan Shaw, Brian Callen, and Jim Norton and Matt Serra. Jim Norton, that's not even a debate. They're tiny little legs. They're going to fucking take an hour to get anywhere.
Listen, I'm sorry to say, we're going to take an L. We're going to get beat here, right? Jim Norton, Matt Serra, no, never. They're coming in dead last, right? I'm essentially a cripple these days. You aren't, you're not an athlete. And I'll just say, Brendan Sharp, he's riding bikes every day. Brian Callen looks after himself. He's ripped from head to toe. I got to say, we get our asses kicked in a 3-legged race.
Okay, you might be right. See, we are the bigger men. We're the bigger men. Fine. We can take that out.
Beat us in a shitty, stupid fucking what do you call it? 3-legged race, sack race, whatever it is. They'd be
any sort of fun, like, childlike field day challenges. I think they have an advantage of.
Drinking tournament, no chance.
Oh, it's over. Not even
Fights,
close.
never.
That's what we should do. We should challenge them. We should do a podcast together, and we do a drinking podcast. Last podcast standing is the ultimate males.
UFC breakdowns, not a chance. Not a chance they touch us. I could go on all day, but in a run, yeah, we're fucked. Simple as that. So I was in Jacksonville, and as we know, Florida, it's kind of opened up a little bit. And I get there, and they say opened up. There was nothing there. It was kind of like a ghost town. It was a very boring week, other than all the UFC stuff, which I did, which was awesome. A lot of hanging around in my hotel room, but there was.
As it relates to what you're saying, I apologize. So you got there, and you had mentioned something to me earlier about, having, not being able to get out, I guess, to bars or restaurants. Was the UFC essentially, once you got there, was the UFC sort of like, hey, you guys can't go out and intermingle with people once we've tested you guys, because at that point you're going to sort of put yourself at risk?
Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, that's just common sense. But I tell you what, they were taking it very seriously. Anywhere we went, everyone had to have a mask on. Inside the hotel, people still had to keep the distance from one another. Obviously, there's a breakfast place and breakfast restaurant, etc. Everyone had to stay away from one another. Only a couple of people to every table. Every single morning, you had to go down before 11 o'clock, I think it was, have your temperatures checked, and then you got given a wristband. And if you didn't have a wristband, that meant you had to get your temperature checked. So therefore, you were looked and frowned upon, like you had the skirt, like you had the plague. People knew, ooh, there's one of them. He hasn't got a wristband. Quick, everybody, run away. He could be infected. So they did everything they could. And we were encouraged, obviously, to respect the disease, which most people are. But there was a couple of places open. And I just got to say, the Grand Hyatt, great hotel. Dining options, not the best. I'm trying to keep it lean, trying to get in shape, I went for a little walk, and it was like a ghost town. Everything's closed, but there was a couple of establishments open. This one in particular, a nice steakhouse, beautiful restaurant, really was. We booked a table, we went in. It was only open to 25% capacity, so limited tables, and there was like a party of 4 on a gigantic table. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of space between everybody, but we had to be on separate tables. And we go in, we sit down. It's, as I say, high-class restaurant, beautiful place. And it's a steakhouse. They specialize in steaks, obviously. And I ordered a filet mignon, right? Wasn't cheap. The cheapest thing on the menu, by the way. Jesus Christ. Some of the steaks, hundreds of dollars. I don't know who's spending hundreds of dollars on a steak, but I'll never do it. I don't care if I won the lottery. I'm not spending $300 on Wagyu beef. You know what I mean?
There's like a big difference. So there is a massive jump between like a nice steakhouse and like Outback, right? Obviously, you can tell, okay, this is a shitty Outback steak. And I like a good Outback steak. I don't mind an Outback steak.
I like an Outback steak. I don't have to eat at a 5-star restaurant and be all snobby to enjoy a meal. No.
Yeah. But there's a big jump there. Obviously, you can tell the difference, but I can't tell the difference between a nice steakhouse or a crazy over the top steakhouse. And I don't think the layman can. I don't think no matter how many nice restaurants you go to, I don't think, unless you specialize in fucking steaks and you're a meat expert, I don't think the layman can do a taste test and go, that $300 steak from that really high-end steakhouse is better than this $55 steak from this medium-end steakhouse.
Well, they say you can taste it when it's grass-fed. Me, personally, I can't. My palate isn't that sensitive. But apparently, when it's grass-fed, it's a little bland, but obviously healthy.
It tastes like socks.
Does it really?
For me, when I have organic beef, and I'll have it whenever I have an organic
I always
burger
have organic beef. Come on.
It has a little bit of a Frito-Lay, socky, smelly flavor to it. But regardless, continue.
Yeah. So anyway, we sit there. I order a filet mignon. Fillet for the English. Yeah, I do say filet now. That's embarrassing. Fillet. I order a fillet steak. I'm not French. And medium rare. That's how I like it. And we ordered some beautiful sides to go with it. And I remember I was in there. I was so excited. I thought, this is great. It's been almost 3 months. I'm sitting in a nice restaurant. I'm having a glass of wine.
It's the first time you're doing that.
First time I've done it in months.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It was it was normality. It felt so good. And I was actually saying, even though the nearest person was quite far away, it's okay because I talk loud anyway. I'm like, isn't this great? Isn't this fucking awesome? We're out and about again. We're in a restaurant ordering steaks. And I got risotto as the side. I got some mushrooms because you can't have a steak without mushrooms. I got some peppercorn sauce and I got some cream spinach, right? And I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Steak comes, and I'm like, it looks fantastic. It's all pepper crusted for me, which is what I asked for. It was amazing. Slice into it. It's what my dad would call, anytime my dad, Jan Bisping, orders a steak, he wants it BTF. What does BTF stand for?
Black.
Burnt to fuck.
Burnt to fuck.
It's a classic guy. That's what my dad wants. I said, Dad, don't get it BTF. He's like, no, now, son. Now I know I like my fucking steak. BTF. Anyway, I take one, I slice into it. It's fucking well done to the max. It's burnt within an inch of his life. And I don't like to be that guy. I'm not that guy to complain. I'm really not. So I call over the waitress, who was a lovely young lady. And I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy. I said, but look at this. I said, it's not medium rare, is it? And she goes, oh my God, no, you're right. It isn't medium rare. In fact, it's nowhere near medium rare. Let me take that away.
This is burnt to fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking BTF, son. I said, I'll get you a new one. I'm like, no. It's fine. She goes, no. I insist.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second? Because you preempted this. Be like, look, I don't like to complain, but then you're just complaining to complain. You're not even complaining to get the steak. You just want her to know. No, I'm trying to make the restaurant better. I'm giving feedback. I'm not complaining. I'm like, hey, you're
listen,
helping your fellow man.
I did it a couple of days ago at the restaurant when I was having breakfast. Like, what are my eggs? Over medium. Okay, describe an over medium egg to me.
It is, it's flipped over, and
fried.
The yolk would be a little bit runny, but not super, super runny. No runniness in the white at all. It's just the yolk.
Yeah. So I got into the egg, just yolk and slop all over the plate, right? So I say, excuse me. I said, I'm sorry. I said, these eggs are really, really runny. And I'm like, I'm sick of it at this point on the runny eggs. I said, could I just get 2 more eggs? I said, the plate's fine. Could I just get another 2 eggs?
And it's also 18 seconds in.
Yeah. So they bring 2 more eggs. And I do it. And again, it's runny as fuck. So then I friendly say to the waitress as I'm paying the bill, I'm like, I don't think your chef knows how to do over medium eggs. I said, because they aren't over medium, right? Just like having a little joke as I do. And then the chef comes out from the back. Oh, no. He's a big dude. He's like, listen, over medium. And I'm like, no, buddy. I said, listen, I've had enough eggs in my time. They're not over medium. And he argued with me. I said, mate, listen, it's all good. I loved it. Great breakfast, by the way. Good luck. Anyway.
We have a similar quality. It's almost like a Larry David thing. Do you ever watch
I had to say it. I had to let them know. I'm trying to improve the restaurant, okay? Trying to make future customers happy.
Did you ever watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
One of my favorite shows.
Okay, so we have a similar thing that, and I don't mean, because you could just play the Larry David music. Because you don't need to say anything. There's not actually a purpose in saying anything. You're just letting them know to let them know. Yes. And then it becomes a thing. And now you're banned from a restaurant.
Well, in the steakhouse, it became a huge thing, right? So I say, listen, I'm sorry. It's fucking BTF, son. Right? I said, it's burnt, right? I said, I'm really sorry. And she said, I'll take it away. I said, it doesn't matter. She insists. She said, I'll take it away. I said, no, don't do that. I said, because you're going to mess up the flow of the table. Everybody else is eating their steaks, right? We're into it now. We've had a Caesar salad to start. I said, we're all into the main course. I said, if you take it away, it's going to take 15 minutes, whatever. And I'm going to be sitting there, twiddling my thumbs and then eating by myself. She goes, no. I insist. And she picks up the plate and takes it away. Right? She goes away. And then 5 minutes later, she comes back and presents an empty plate on the table. She goes, while we cook the steak, you enjoy the sides.
Oh, it's infuriating.
Enjoy the fucking sides. I don't want to.
So how many people are you with now?
Well, there's like 8 or 9, but we're on separate tables and spread out. And they're all chowing down and going, oh my God, it's the best steak I ever had. It's amazing. It's Florida. I didn't know it was known for the steaks. Right. And I'm like, I'm there looking at a plate and I'm like, I don't want to fill up on sides. I'm paying $50 for a piece of meat. I want to enjoy that whilst I'm still hungry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when she comes back, I say, excuse me, is the restaurant known for the mushrooms? She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, is the speciality? Is it the mushrooms or is it the steak? She goes, it's the steak. I said, well, exactly. I don't want to fill up on the sides. I said, please don't. I don't want to eat the sides. I want to wait for my steak. Anyway, she takes the plate away and we wait for like 20 minutes and everyone's finished the dinner and then they present me with a steak. By this point, I'm cutting my nose off to spite my face. I said, I don't want it. I don't want it. She goes, what do you mean you don't want it? I said, the moment's passed. Everyone's finished eating. I was sulking. I was being a psycho, and everyone's looking at me. The UFC types, they're all intelligent people. They all went to college and university. They come from good families. They're looking at Bisping. They're like, he's out of his fucking mind. I guarantee they were kicking each other under the table.
He's starving right now, by the way.
Oh, I was starving.
All he wants is a steak.
It was there. It looked so succulent and juicy. I'm like, no. I said, I'm good. And they're like, what do you mean you're good? I'm like, I'm fine. I said, I had a Caesar salad. I had some sides. I said, I'm full. And anyway, and that was thrown in my face several times throughout the week. The UFC staff were like, whoa, make sure Mike doesn't get his steak wrong. He'll kick off. I didn't kick off. But what do you think, Lewis? What would you do in that situation?
I'm a very similar guy. There's just there's no reason for it. But when I feel like I'm wronged, I just see red. And I just go down this path and I go, there's nothing, the end result here is not going to give me anything that I want. And it's almost like if you could build a Michael Bisping robot to sit in your place and make all the right decisions for you, you would never have programmed that robot to make that decision to send that steak back. You need fuel. You need that robot to keep going. But for some reason,
anybody else on planet Earth, I would have given them a pep talk. I said, listen,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? You're hungry. The steak's cooked. It's right there. It looks delicious. They've made it for you. They're probably going to give it to you for free. Yes. Just enjoy the steak, you psychopath. But I'm like,
just tap it in.
I'm fine. I'm fine. And then I went home back to the hotel and ordered some shitty room service when I was starving at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, anyway, that was my dining experience in Jacksonville, Florida. And I regretted it. I did. Yeah. I regretted it. I gotta work on that.
Yeah. I've gotten pretty good for the most part at sort of controlling my temper in those situations. But I will tell you right now, if they don't come back and take something off the bill at that point, it will be reflected.
Well, I never lost my temper. I wasn't rude. Rude, but it just don't take it away. I said, don't take it away. And then you say, fill up on the sides. Anyway, enough of the sides. Should we get to the fights?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, do you want to go back to last Wednesday? Obviously, we have a lot to get to. We're doing 2 shows this week for sure. So a lot to unpack and a lot of MMA news that has happened over the past few days as well. So where do you want to start, Mr. Bisping?
Yeah, well, let's say we'll start in chronological order going back, if you will. We covered the Ferguson Gagey fight. Shout out to them two once again. In fact, I don't think we mentioned this, though. Got to give Tony Ferguson some props. Did we talk about him dancing in the hospital? Because remember that video came out. He was dancing in the hospital and stuff with his IV.
Crazy. He's crazy.
He's awesome. He's
awesome. Something else. Let me ask you, because this is kind of interesting. You can give some perspective on this, right? So apparently he was supposed to get some orbital bone surgery or something because he had a broken orbital bone. He said he's foregoing the surgery.
I did the same
about this.
I did the same thing.
Okay, so why would? Because that sounds just sort of crazy to me. Like, is there what would be the reason? You would know better than anybody.
So after the Dan Henderson fight, they said that I had a fractured orbital, and they said, they'd probably like to operate on it. And I never pursued it any further. I just went, no, not doing that. I'm fine. It'll heal. It'll go back together. I don't want you to open up my face and put a fucking metal plate in. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I've had enough invasive surgeries. I don't want, it'll heal. And it did. I fought again after that. I fought twice after that. It felt great. You just got to give it some time. Is
it something that ever affected you? Because you sort of heard about that in the past where people have bad injuries and then they are conscious of it going into the fight, right? So you sort of like, whether you're protecting that one side more or whatever it is. I'm trying to remember who it was, but there was somebody, I can't remember. I'm blanking. I apologize. But it's sort of a famous case of this where, regardless, but is it something that you're sort of conscious of afterwards? And then would a surgery maybe make you feel less sort of conscious of that? Or what is the benefit of getting a surgery? I don't really understand. Why would you get the surgery then?
Yeah, well, again, I never had the surgery and I never explored it too far, but I think it's just to make sure it's strong. And apparently once you get the metal plate in your face, it is actually stronger than had you not. But still, as I say, it was a fractured orbital and I thought it'll heal up, and it did. And from there, no, it never affected me, to answer your question. It wasn't painful, wasn't sore, never bothered me again going forward. But anyway, just wanted to say shout out Tony Ferguson, what a guy. Let's start with the main event last Wednesday, event number 2. Smith versus Teixeira. Obviously, there was a bit of controversy surrounding that fight. Coming into that fight, I had, and by the way, love Glover Teixeira. So I had Anthony Smith winning the fight. That's why I'm saying I love Glover Teixeira even more after this week, because I spoke to him a couple of times, and the man is just a fucking class act. But I can't believe Teixeira is only 39. When I look at Teixeira, and I say this with respect, he looks about 50. And I'm like, how am I older than him? I'm older than Overeem. I'm older than all these people. When I find out their ages, I'm shocked. But I was like, what the fuck? How am I older than all of you? But yeah, let's start. Smith Teixeira, amazing fight. Lewis, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I don't know what it is. Everyone's sort of talking about how tough Anthony Smith is. And maybe it's just because Glover's been around for so long, and it's sort of hard to, I think it's hard to picture Glover getting another title shot against John Jones, much less beating John Jones. But holy shit, did he put a beat down on Anthony Smith? It ended up being a 5th round TKO, what a lot of people consider to be a late stoppage. So I don't know, a lot of people, Jason Herzog, the referee, went to Twitter afterwards and said, hey, my bad. I stopped that one a little bit late. That's on me.
Oh, he did? Yeah, and then I think he backtracked on Jason Herzog and talked some shit and told him to don't let the Twitter people get to you, stick to your guns and things like that. Because before we, I'll give him a breakdown of the fight first. So, round 1, Smith looks absolutely outstanding. He's using that jab. His hands are loose. He's fast. He's fluid. He's landing excellent combinations. He's using a great variety of kicks. And, Teixeira's tough. Teixeira's been in there with the best in the world, but I'm like, fuck. It's not looking good for Teixeira. And, may the best man win, of course. And as I say, Smith looked fucking outstanding. And I thought, man, because Teixeira's a nice guy. Anybody that's met him will tell you. He's just a gentleman. He really is. And I'm thinking, oh, man, this is going to be, pardon me, a bad night for Glover Teixeira. And then round 2, he was doing a little bit better. Was it 3 that the tide turned, or was it 2? I know Teixeira landed a couple of good uppercuts that got his attention, but whether it was 2 or whether it was 3, it might have been towards the end of 2 or even early 3. He landed a body shot, right? And a lot of people saying that Smith gassed. And a few people said that to me as well. A couple of people that know the sport well said, oh, Smith gassed. His corner were asking him to finish him in rounds 1 and 2, and he blew his wad, and he run out of steam and got tired. I don't think it was that. I honestly think it was the body shot from Glover Teixeira. Once you take a good body shot, it just sucks the wind out of you. And then from there, Teixeira just made some adjustments, landed some amazing shots, and broke his orbital. From there, every time Smith got caught with a shot, he would react big time. In between the rounds, I think it was in between rounds 3 and 4, referee or the doctor came in and said, do you want to continue? So they were conscious of it, but fuck me, man. Rounds 4 and 5 and even a bit of 3, he took a lot of damage, man. I'm talking a lot of damage. And full respect to Smith. I mean, he's tough as fuck. He's as tough as they come. And I want to talk about this quickly because this was one of the best scenarios I've ever seen. Obviously, there's no crowd, so people can hear everything. And then as he's got him on the floor and he's smashing him in the face, his fucking teeth fall out, right? And he's getting smashed. He's on the floor, and they're just so fucking cool. He grabs his teeth as he's getting smacked in the head. He's like, I probably want to keep them. Reaches out to the referee. He's like, hey, ref, just grab them for me, mate, would you? And the referee grabs them, puts them in his teeth. And then the next round, Teixeira says that, I'm sorry, man. It's only business or something like that. And Smith's face down on the floor, getting pounded, going, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I was like, wow. How awesome is that? How do you not love this
one of the
sport?
Only cool benefits of not having a crowd there, and because you could hear a pin drop, you hear everything, you hear them breathing in the corner. So that was a really cool moment. Yeah, dude. It reminds me of when I guess Conor and Khabib were fighting, and you heard clearly like, what did Conor say? He was like, it's just business, man.
It's only business. It's only business.
Yeah. Khabib's like, yeah, talk shit now, motherfucker. So it is really cool, and I think you're getting more of that. It is, I like it. It's very intimate, sort of being in the corner like that. And to be honest with you, they did that a couple of years ago. They sort of implemented that change, and you got more of the corner, but you hear it that much more. You hear people you hear the corners calling out during the fight. I wonder if the fighters at all can sort of pick up on what the corner guys are saying more now because it's so quiet.
Yeah, well, they were talking about that. They said that DC, a lot of the fighters, when DC was giving technical breakdowns on the wrestling, they would hear what he was saying, and then they would implement what he was saying Yeah, they would. And then a couple of them even thanked DC. They're like, hey, thanks for the corner work. And he didn't mean to do that, of course.
That's so funny.
That answers your question. So anyway, the writing on the wall is that the fight should have been stopped and the referee should have stopped it. And I agree. I made it very public. I said it at the post-fight show. And here's why. Here's why that fight should have been stopped. And Anthony Smith didn't agree. Anthony Smith went on Twitter. In fact, Saturday night, when there was some hard fights happening, remember there was that Nate Landwehr versus Darren Elkins, which was a fucking bloodbath. We'll get to that. But when these fights were on, Anthony Smith was tweeting, look at this. People punching themselves in the face. This fight has to be stopped. Right? So it's pretty funny. He's having a laugh. And then he texts me this. He texts. I forget what happened there. He goes, early stoppage, in my opinion. And a guy had been beat to fuck and he stopped the fight. And then he texts back, early stoppage. He's having a laugh because obviously everyone said that his fight should have been stopped. Here's why I think it should have been stopped. I think after the end of round 3, it was clear, unfortunately, the damage was done. He had a broken nose. He had a broken orbital. He'd lost teeth. He had cuts all over his face. He was beat to a pulp. And I'm not trying to kick a man while he's down. This is just the way it goes. It's the fight game. Smith was winning, and he could have won it. But the reality was, rounds 4, he wasn't in a good place.
How do you feel about your enemies? Fuck Michael Bisping.
Yeah, well, no, I love the guy. He's awesome.
I know.
But it wasn't his night.
It is what it is. Well, that's the thing. You got to call it like it is. He got beat. And it was a bad loss.
And at that point, in rounds 4, certainly in round 5, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to be offensive, I don't think he was going to turn that fight around. And I think if his cornermen on the outside, and of course he loves his cornermen, they're his team, he's very, very loyal to them. And Mark Montoya and James Krause, they're awesome cornermen. They're fucking great. In fact, I even commented to Brendan Fitzgerald at the end of round 1, Mark Montoya was giving some advice to Glover. And I said to Brendan Fitzgerald, I said, wow, that was fucking great corner work. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to shit on them. But at this stage in round 4, when he wasn't going to win the fight and he never stopped it, the reason he should have stopped it is this. Anthony Smith is one of the best in the world. He's only 31 years old. And looking at him in rounds 1 and 2, he certainly has the ability to become champion of the world one day. But after a fight like that, there's a potential that you're never going to be the same. After you take a beating like that, there's a potential you'll never be the same. With the injuries that you take, the physical damage, there's a potential that you might not fight the same and it might change you. And if that was the case, just on the hope of him winning that one fight, they could potentially rob him of millions of dollars in the future. He can fight for another 10 years at the highest level. John Jones is nice and retired. I'm not saying he can't beat John Jones. He could easily be the champion. He could make millions of dollars per fight. That night, he wasn't going to win. They should say, do you know what? Fuck it. Tonight's not our night. There's the towel. Anthony, I'm sorry. I know you wanted to continue, but I'm thinking about you in the long run. Thinking about you.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, it's very rare you see that. I can think of a handful of times where a towel's been thrown in by the corner. And now it's actually been in the past 3 fights. I guess it was a real debate with Tony, whether or not his corner could have thrown in the towel and how much damage is too much damage. It's a very brutal sport, and it becomes, without the crowd there, with the cameras right there, high def. I mean, you really see the brutality in fights that we've seen in the past couple of weeks. And I think it's highlighted by the fact that there's not an audience. I think you have the sound mixing and all this other stuff and the cheering and it's sort of easy to get. It doesn't seem as real. But when you don't, I said this about pro wrestling a few weeks ago on this show. I said, you can hear the thuds and it seems actually a little more brutal. Pro wrestling was always kind of kid-like and fun. And I saw this one dude who was like kind of like slap, and you just hear the slap and the thud. So with MMA, where it is real, it does seem a little bit more brutal. Do you feel like they should be throwing in towels possibly more often? Or do you think maybe we're going to come to a time now where we start seeing that because people are fighting smarter?
I think they should definitely throw in more towels. In fact, I said this on the post-fight show, and I was kind of concerned. I hope, that I wasn't being anti-UFC because I wasn't, but mixed martial arts is still a new sport, right? Has been around nowhere near as long as boxing. In boxing, it's not that controversial to throw the towel in. You'll see it all the time. In MMA, it's very rare. They really will their fighters on. They want them to win. They want them to fight through the damage. And I said on the post-fight show, I said, we got to catch up to boxing in this regard. We do. We got to catch up to boxing. They got to realize, hold on a minute, our man or woman is outgunned tonight, okay? and they're getting beat by the better man or woman on the night. It's as simple as that. Tonight, they're not going to win. And they've got to accept that and protect their fighter from more damage. Because, all right, there's a moral victory in going to the distance and getting your fucking ass kicked like that, but it's not worth it. A moral victory is not worth the brain cells. It's not worth the headaches. It's not worth the damage to your face and to your confidence. It can affect you. I'm not saying it will to Anthony Smith. That man's a veteran. He's had tons of fights and he'll be just the same. But a lot of people, you know what I mean? It can affect them going forward. They may never fight the same way. They may be so gun shy that they don't want to get in there in the first place. It could be the end of their fucking career. That could haunt them. It could give them fucking dreams at night. So listen. Just do the job. It's hard, but you got to be cruel to be kind sometimes. Yeah. There you go.
It is. It's a harsh reality. And I think we are seeing much higher level athletes now competing in the year 2020 than we've ever seen in the past. It's kind of funny because as you see the sport evolve, I mean, technically, the average fighter is that much better, right? It's just it's such a young sport. Like year by year, every few years, it's almost like this new evolution. It's almost like we shed an old school sort of skin and this new breed of fighter. And remember back in the day, like George St. Pierre almost like stood out as being like a special athlete. And he was very much a special athlete, especially compared at the time. But I feel like almost everybody at that time everybody now is like that athletic. Everybody is like a super uber athlete now. And I think I think you need to sort of protect the fighters from themselves because there's a lot of machismo and there's a lot of skill.
Well, it's funny you mentioned George St. Pierre because George St. Pierre, BJ Penn, when he fought him, Jason Perillo in the corner, Perillo threw the towel in, and he didn't like doing that to his guy. And BJ Penn, same type of thing, a legendary fighter, but he threw the towel in because you got to do that. So anyway, well done to both guys. Well done to Smith and to Scherer. They'll have my respect forever. They already did. But after that epic fight, I'm telling you, when you were there, I was there 15, 20 feet away from the octagon. No crowd in there, the fucking sound, and they put on such a fight. They will forever have my respect. So well done to them.
Hey, Mike, let's take a quick second and thank EcoDen, which is my favorite pillow that I've ever owned in my entire life. You really can't put a price on blissful sleep and pain-free mornings, and the EcoDen ensures perfect sleep posture, maximizing your health and your comfort. Everyone tosses and turns. Everyone's trying to find the right angle to sleep at. Everyone that I know that's over the age of 30 wakes up with some sort of back pain or neck pain in the morning. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a good chance it's the pillow that you're sleeping on.
Absolutely. I mean, I hate it when you're tossing and turning all night. You can't get to sleep, especially if you've got a big day the next day. And, I used to have these shitty pillows. I used to tell Rebecca all the time, babe, I need a better pillow. She wouldn't listen to me. She said, what's wrong? And by the way, noisy pillows as well. I had one with feathers. And every time you moved your head, you hear like rustling. EcoDen, silence, absolute silence, dead of night, silent. And sometimes you wake up with a bad neck. In fact, Lucas, who's just went 10 last week, slept badly on a shitty pillow. Since I got the EcoDen pillow, the EcoDen Dreams pillow, I've been sleeping fantastic. It's made of memory foam. It's designed to support the arch in your back and your neck and things like that. It improves your posture, all that type of good stuff. But let me tell you, since I started using this, I'm sleeping like a baby. It's fantastic. I love this thing. So please give it a try. You like yours, Lewis?
I love it, dude. I'll tell you right now, I have one. I'm ordering another one now because here's what happens. I have my EcoDen pillow that I sleep on. And then sometimes if I have a lady friend over, we end up fighting over the EcoDen pillow now. So it's become a whole thing. So I have to order another one now because it's too comfortable. Everyone knows about memory foam. You guys remember the person jumping up and down on the bed, invented by NASA. Well, this is in a pillow. It basically forms to the contour of your neck and the top of your back. Here's the thing. We're supposed to make it sound good. They give you a risk-free trial. They give you a 30-day trial and a refund period, and also a 3-year warranty. So they're putting their money where their mouth is. If you don't like this pillow, just return it.
Just return it. I mean, 3 years. That's a long time. 30 days. That's a long time. That's a month of sleep. Give it a try. If you don't like it, you got nothing to lose. You get all your money back. And as we said, 3-year warranty. I mean, that's pretty good. So please give it a shot. Go to ecodendreams.com. That's ECODEN Dreams, ecodendreams.com. Use the promo code BELIEVE. You'll get 10% off. And we guarantee a better night's sleep. All right, shifting forward, Saturday night, we had Overeem versus Walt Harris. Tremendous fight card from top to bottom. And I got to say, those 3 fight cards, the fucking fights delivered. Every single fight was absolutely fantastic. Where do you want to start, Lewis?
I mean, I say start with the main event because I think that's sort of the biggest story here. And the other fights were great. And maybe the bigger story of the night is the fact that there was some questionable judging, a lot of close decisions. I didn't think it was like anything so crazy. But, I thought the biggest story of the night was Walt Harris coming out, super emotional. They really charged up the audience with that because I'm watching it. I'm a dad. If you're a fucking parent, you don't have to be a parent. You actually said this on the show. You don't have to be a parent to understand the weight or the how heavy this is. But when you're a parent, it's hard to not choke up watching those fucking things, those promos, and just to think about what it would be like to lose your kid. It's really hard. And you found yourself, everyone in the world, and I almost felt bad for Alistair Overeem, but everybody Saturday night was rooting for Walt Harris. Everybody. I thought Alistair Overeem, in a little weird way, was probably rooting for Walt Harris.
Yeah. No, of course. So let's talk about that a little bit then. Obviously, his daughter went missing November last year. We all know what happened. And, I was a little nervous because, you got to handle this thing. You got to tread so carefully, right? Because it's such an explosive situation. The emotions are so high for something like that, and he came into the fighter meetings on Thursday. We had to speak to the guy and I was like, I guess we're going to address the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? Because it's almost patronizing not to, but you got to also tread carefully. And I got to say, Walt Harris, what a fucking man. What a guy. He sat in there. I mean, the strength that he showed all fight week, in the fight, after the fight, prior to the fight, everything that he did, he handled himself with grace, with class, like a real fucking man. He did a better job than I could have done. I couldn't have controlled my emotions the way he did. The ESPN put together a real amazing, beautiful piece. And it was all about, the tragic events and how they unfolded. And it showed some footage of the murderous piece of shit scumbag that did it when he was in court. By the way, the guy was already out on bond for drug charges and manslaughter or murder, things like that. What he was doing out on the streets is beyond me. But they caught him. And in court, it showed it on this piece that he did. He was leaning back and eyeballing Walt and his family in court. Fucking piece of shit. How Walt had the restraint not to jump out of his seat and dive over.
Well, he said
that.
He said he was like, I wanted to jump out, and but it wasn't about me. It was about honoring this girl. And I just don't. And you've seen it before. You've seen a few of them. They're like famous videos that go viral where it's like a dad who, the kid was murdered or, whatever it was, a very similar situation where the dad jumps over or a husband jumps over and they attack him. And you can never blame the person in that scenario. And Walt Harris, who could probably fucking take the bailiffs and clunk their heads together and just go at that guy and murder him with his bare hands with ease, had the restraint to sit there and, complete gentleman. Look, we have a very funny show here, right? And it's a hard subject to, there's not much I could find, humorous in talking about, something like that. So, I try to, we don't want to harp too much on the sadness of that story. But I will say I was rooting for Walt Harris that night, watching it. I was hanging out with a friend of mine. She was like, oh my God, this guy has to win. And, in the fight, it looked like he had a moment, to be honest with you, if they stopped that fight when he caught Overeem, it wouldn't have been crazy. We've seen crazier stoppages in the past 8 days. So, that wouldn't have been a crazy stoppage.
Yeah. Hold on. Just let me tell you these things, though. So in that fighter meeting, he came in, and as I say, he was so composed. He had his shit together. He was controlling his emotions because, there was a fucking ton of dark days, and there's plenty of dark days ahead. And he, we got talking about it, and he was saying he was drinking heavy and kind of letting himself go, which is very fucking understandable, of course. And then he said, like, she came to him in a dream, and she told him to get his shit together because she is Anaya. She was part of the reason he got into MMA and why he was successful in mixed martial arts. His wife is a nurse, I believe, so she was at work all the time. He's got 4 kids. She would look after the kids while Walt went and trained, right? So he wanted to continue doing it to honor her life as well because she was part of the reason that he was being so successful. So when he walks in, you always see him do this. That's signaling his 4 kids. And he was saying, so when they come in here, I take notes on my phone. I put it in the notes on there because they're always in there. So whenever I fight, I commentate. We interview them again. I add on to the notes. So I'm just looking at the notes that I put. But he said in the mornings he was so tired. He didn't want to train, couldn't get out of bed, but he heard her voice saying, "Come on, get up, Dad." So he would jump out of bed every time and do it because when he heard her voice. And he said, where is it here? He said that he said, "I'm worried for Alistair." He said, "I've been through everything a man can go through, and there's nothing that a human being can do to me. I've lost my daughter. Nothing can scare me now." But he went on to say that no fans being there was a silver lining because, of course, every time he met somebody, people would say, "My sincere condolences," all the rest of it. And he said, and I understand that's nice, but I don't want to hear it everywhere I go, certainly in fight week. And he said, the fact that there's no crowd here, I haven't got to deal with that.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want to hear it. I've never suffered any sort of tragic loss like that at all. And I get annoyed when people ask me how my son is just in general. It's like, how's it? Like, all right.
So,
you don't really fucking care. All right.
You don't care. I know. It's a nice icebreaker. People ask me about Callum all the time. I'm like, fuck Callum. I'll knock Callum out. Ask about me. Do you know what I mean? You see that's a belt. That's a Hall of Fame. You ask about me. You don't ask about my kids. Fuck my kids, okay?
What the fuck has Callum done?
Man.
He graduated high school?
Ooh. So what? You should graduate high school. If you don't graduate high school...
What did you hold up? You're realizing the metrics of our audience real quick.
I don't think I graduated high school. That's why I stopped. I left school at 16, as you do in England. No, but then Alistair Overeem came in and we were talking to Overeem, and I said to Overeem, I said, "Wow, this is a bad position. It's a difficult position to be in." I said, how do you approach this? Do you feel like you're almost going to try and take it easier? And he's like, No, and Overeem was very blunt about it. He was sensitive, but he was saying the right things. He said, "Listen, it's a fight at the end of the day, and it's self-defense." He said, "If I don't do it to him, he's going to do it to me." Oh, yeah. And he nearly fucking did. So Overeem had the right response there. And
also, to be honest with you, it's sort of disrespecting Walt Harris.
Of course.
To not give it your all. Walt Harris doesn't want Overeem, no matter what way he fucking
He doesn't want sympathy like that.
No, you don't get to be a heavyweight in the UFC. It's to get to that level, you don't get there with wanting handouts and wanting people to take it easy. And to be honest with you, I'm sure Walt Harris, the only thing that kept him sane in this, because if my son passed away, I'm telling you, Bisping, I don't know if I could go on. You have other kids, a little bit of a different thing. I mean, I'm telling you right now, my kid died, I'd jump in front of a train. I mean, simple as that. I could
spare to lose one or two. You know what I mean? All of them would be a bit of a nightmare, but one or two, they're expendable. I got a few. Just to what you said, to your point, Harris said, when he first started going to the gym, it was hard. There was tears and stuff like that, but eventually, he said the first day was awkward. People didn't know what to say. The second day was a little bit awkward. The third day it was getting lighter. After a week, you go in, people were busting balls again. You know what I mean? You do exercise, you get sweat, you release those endorphins, and there was a camaraderie of the gym. And he said that's what he needed. That's what saved him.
We spoke on this the last episode because we talked about going running again and sort of the therapeutic aspect of training and getting in your head and connecting your mind to your body and trying to push yourself. And I think whether it's for distraction purposes, meditation purposes, he needed to go back and train. He needed to have a fight and something really to be hyper-focused on. And win or lose, it's easy to feel bad for him. I'm sure at this point he's not feeling bad for himself. I'm sure he's looking in the mirror and going like, all right, well, this is what it is. This is the fight game. I got to get back up. And that sense of normalcy, winning and losing, is very much a part of this fight game. And it's almost guaranteed to come one day when you fight in mixed martial arts. So it's, it sucks for him, and I do feel bad for him. But as we're talking about it, even now I go, well, you know what? It was probably good for him to go through that entire process, and now it's time for him to get back up and pick himself up again. And it'll be way easier for him to pick himself up after losing to Alistair Overeem than it was after losing his daughter.
Oh, absolutely. The two don't even compare whatsoever. There was a little discussion or thought from myself. It's like, fucking hell. He's been through all that. He's managed to pick himself up, and he's back to the UFC. And he's got to face Alistair Overeem, a man that made his check this out. We were studying him all week, etc., etc. Overeem made his professional debut in 1999. 21 years fighting at the highest. He's still younger than you. He's still fucking younger than me. What is going on? By the way, in the fighting meet, I was like, yeah, well, guess what? I was fighting in 1995. He's like, no, you weren't, Mark. No, you weren't. You weren't fighting in 1995. MMA wasn't really a thing back then. I'm like, hold on, motherfucker. I got it on YouTube, and I brought it up. It's like, oh, okay, very good, very good. So anyway, 1999, fought all over the world, fought the best people, K1 champion, used to be an absolute monster, beating champions, Junior Dos Santos, Brock Lesnar, you name it. And now
in Pride, when Pride had the elite heavyweight, everyone's on fucking steroids. Everyone's fucking, it was just like, remember, because back in the day, the UFC was sort of like Tim Sylvia was at the top of the mountain. UFC's heavyweight division, back when Alistair Overeem was in Pride, was secondary to Pride's heavyweight division.
Well, check this out for a cool little tidbit that Walt Harris gave us. When he first decided, because he thought he was going to be a professional basketball player. He got a scholarship at college, and he was obsessed. He's like, that's it. I'm going to go to the league. I'm not even going to try with my academics. And he never made it. Right. And he was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? And mixed martial arts came along, and it saved his life. And it saved his life 2 times. But he also, when he decided he was going to do mixed martial arts, he was watching Pride, and he was watching Alistair fucking Overeem. And he went to his mom, and he sat his mom down and said, hey, mom. And he showed her the tape. He said, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to compete in. He was showing his mom a video of Alistair Overeem beating the fuck out of somebody. And now here he is fighting Alistair Overeem. And I thought it's a little bit, it's a shame that he has to have such a tough fight given the circumstances. But then I thought, no. Much respect to him, to Overeem, and the UFC. It was a logical matchup to make. Harris had destroyed his last 2 people.
And I think this fight was set up before his daughter had passed.
It was. It was. And Overeem was number 8. Harris was number 9. It was a logical matchup to make. And I thought that was classy. It was classy that they didn't say, a little patronizing, give him an easy opponent or whatever. It was how the way the sport should be. And it was great. It was great. So anyway, let's get into the fight. I said going into the fight, I had to give 3 keys to victory. Number 1 key was avoid the takedown, because I thought Overeem might try and take him down. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. Number 2 was he had to cut off the cage. If you could cut off the cage and get Overeem against the back fence, then he could unleash with his hands, because he's got very powerful, fast hands. And number 3, he had to control his emotions. Obviously, a very emotional scenario for him. And I think he did all those things. He certainly controlled his emotions for the most part. But in round 1, he almost fucking killed Overeem. And as you said, they could have stopped that fight almost. Easily. They were there. The referee was watching, he was paying very close attention. And then there was 2 feet on the hips. He kicked Walt Harris off, and he got back to his feet. That saved the fight for Overeem, because another shot or 2, and it was done. But then Harris, he got a little excited. He thought, fuck this, I'm still going to beat this. And he threw a kick. It was a little sloppy, just got a little excited. Overeem kind of caught it, I think, and kind of pushed him or something like that. And then he got on top. And Overeem, as I say, made his debut in 1999. He's won grappling competitions. He's a very high-level grappler. He's got 17 submissions on his record, right? And Walt Harris is still playing catch-up in that department, right? So I was like, fuck. Because as you said, may the best man win. But there is a little bit inside you want Harris to win. You know what I'm saying? Because of what he went through, he fucking needs it.
If you don't want Harris to win, you're a bad human being. There's no way to watch. I don't give a shit who you are. If you weren't rooting for, unless you had $1 million on that fight on Alistair Overeem, there's no way to watch all that promo and go like, you just want this guy to get a win right now. It doesn't matter. You could be the biggest Alistair Overeem fan in the world. It was just, it's rare that those stories get to me. And like, usually I sort of roll my eyes at the packages to build the guys up, because I know it's all marketing. But this was like, there's no bullshit here. This is a fucking real deal story. And to be honest with you, I'm sure it was hard for Walt Harris to even give the UFC permission to go with that angle. It took a lot for him to say, let's have these conversations right now. Let me put a camera inches from my face. And, it's fucking weird, dude. It's really, really, it's a brave thing for him to do. And I think it inspired a lot of people. And, the amount of people that walked and watched that and said, hey, holy shit, dude, if he can get up and get back on the horse after something like that, for anybody to bitch about any of their fucking problems, unless you have some real deal shit like that, this week, don't bitch about it. You can't bitch about it.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing before we move on, and before I forget, that's why I was raising my finger. Obviously, I was commentating, so I've got to be impartial. What I meant was, you just want a good outcome for Walt Harris. You know what I mean? May the best man win, of course. But you want it to at least be a magnificent fight. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I wanted him to win because that's unprofessional. You got to be impartial, but I just wanted a good outcome. And he got a good outcome because that was a fucking phenomenal fight. He went out there.
This isn't a blip in his career at all. He almost knocked out Alistair Overeem. He also, to be honest with you, he blew his wad. I mean, I think the big difference there, he went ape shit in that first round, and then he just didn't have much left in the gas tank.
Yeah, well, it's he had him hurt. He dropped him. So from there, and you're right, it is, he's still relatively early in his career. He was pounding him, putting everything into every shot. And, over him, people used to say, his chin's done. A couple of years ago, there was the narrative. He was done, his chin was done, and all the rest of it. I fucking tell you what, man, he took some heavy shots Saturday night, took them well, and came back and won the fight. And in the second round, as we know, he got on top of him. And Harris ended up face down on the canvas, completely stretched out with Alistair Overeem on your back, pounding away. Let me tell you, that is a bad position to be. There's not a lot you can do there.
Murgaliata sort of let that one go on a few too many shots. I think Murgaliata was like, come on, dude. That could have been stopped.
It could have been stopped a little
sooner,
sooner, but he was trying to give him a chance. And I think as well, and I don't know, Overeem wasn't putting everything into those shots because you got to be a bit of an arsehole to do that. But he was certainly fucking hitting him because I could hear the thud. But I was trying to explain from there, when you're flattened out like that with a man as heavy as Overeem on your back, right? What you got to try and do is build a base, right? So you're flattened out, you got to try and arch your back up and then get to your knees and then get to your forearms and then try and turn into him. Very, very fucking hard to do. And I'm like, what he's got to do, he's got to build the base. He's got to arch himself up. He's got to get to his knees and stick his ass up. And then some woman on Twitter with like gigantic tits, she goes, oh yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I do when I'm having sex. I'm like, what the fuck? Have a bit of respect. I'm talking about a fucking world-class mixed martial arts fight. But listen, well done Overeem. Overeem did fantastic. And well done to fucking Walt Harris. Walt Harris should be proud of himself. What?
Well done to that woman on Twitter.
I know, you want to see it. I'll forward it to you. I was like, what the fuck is this? She tagged me, so Bisping says he's going to arch your back and this and that. Me, every time I have sex, I'm like, hold on, love, calm the fuck down. Listen, phenomenal from both guys. Great fucking win for Overeem.
And the thing with the heavyweight division, you're always a few wins away from being right there. I got to take a look at Overeem's record. He's just been around for so long, and I mean, he held the title. He's had, how many title shots has he had? He's just like, he's such a badass. You got to give Overeem a lot of credit because he's been in the business for so long, and he has every fight that he has is pretty incredible. When's the last time Overeem has had a boring fight?
Oh, no, he's mixed up his style now. And that, again, is very impressive at his age.
He's a kickboxer that takes guys down, can ground and pound almost better than anybody in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, but awesome. It's not that. He's evolved his style. Now he's very elusive. He uses a lot of footwork. He glides around the octagon. He tries to frustrate his opponents. But then when the time's right, that's when he explodes. And if he gets you in the title clinch, you're fucked. So, yeah, what was the question you asked? How many fights he's had? Well, he was the Strikeforce champion. He was.
Well, how many boring fights has he had?
It's boring fights. No, not really. He's one of those guys, kill or be killed. I think out of 45 professional wins, he stopped 40 or 42 of them, which is fucking, come on.
Five decisions, yep, out of 46 wins. That's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah. You know, so you're talking about truly elite there. So that was a big step up for Walt Harris.
Win or lose when he gets, because what happens is even when he's lost, and look, Jairzinho Rosenstruck, that fight, I mean, just such a fucking, I mean, it sucks to lose that way, but it's all anybody could talk about. You know, when he lost to Curtis Blades, TKO, Francis Ngannou. So you can't question somebody's chin in the heavyweight division. These are monsters.
No.
Monsters that are supposed to knock each other out.
And let me tell you, when Alistair Overeem came in, he's a character, by the way. He's got a lot of views on politics because he walked into the meeting room on the Thursday, and you got all the producers there from the UFC. And one of the producers, you know, they fly to the gyms and they do pieces with them. And when he was there, Overeem started grilling him about politics. And when he walked into the meeting room on Thursday, straight to, this fucking guy, there he is, this guy, and started bringing it all up. And then he started challenging him about his political views and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's
and
funny.
then I started asking him about, you know, Alistair, you've been going for so long. How does the body feel? He's like, it feels fantastic. I'm like, well, how is that? He goes, well, number one, I got great genes. You know, I mean, look at me. Of course, I look great. I'm very handsome. I got fantastic genes, so that helps. I have a perfect diet. I don't eat bullshit. I don't drink. I don't smoke. You know, I'm like, I should have fucking been following the Wolverine path when I was fighting, because in between fights I was a fucking nightmare. Anyway,
imagine that. Imagine the Michael Bisping you could have been had you never drank. Had you
17 Hall of Fame trophies behind me. That's what you'd be dealing with. I'd be living in a house built of Hall of Fame trophies. If I didn't drink and I trained in between fights,
This is the Michael Bisping with, I mean, major substance abuse problems. Could you only imagine?
Imagine if I was sane and didn't have psychological demons. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's move on from that fight.
Imagine a good non-abusive childhood.
Yeah. Like level-headed, just normal, like Michael Bisping, but like Brendan Fitzgerald. You know what I mean? Like, no issues.
That would have sucked. Because you want to know the truth? You would have never become the UFC middleweight champion.
I wouldn't have been in the UFC, period.
No way.
I'd have been an accountant.
Yep.
But I'd have fucking done your taxes in a jiffy.
I explained that to my son today. I was sort of just trying to explain to him sort of like chaos theory in my own way. We drew a timeline. And I tried to explain to him, like, look, if I never moved in with my aunt in Rockland County in 1987, I would have never done all these other things. And he was like, whoa, I like blew his fucking mind. But it's so true. You think of all those bad things that happen in life. It's a theme that comes up regularly, but it's like, I wouldn't change up until the moment my son was born. I wouldn't change a second, not a moment that I turned left when I could have turned right.
Hold on. You said up until your son was born. So like what, you would have changed the surroundings of your son being born?
Well,
James isn't good enough for you.
What I'm saying is that
you wanted twins, maybe a girl. What is the issue?
No, I'm saying I love him so much that I wouldn't want. I really believe that. Like if I would have fucking one day just stayed home from school, it would have set off an entire different trajectory. And that sperm cell would not have met that egg. And James, as I know him today, would not be alive. There's no chance of it.
I say it all the time, like Rebecca moved from Australia to Clitheroe, a tiny little fucking town. What are the chances of that? And then I met her outside a nightclub. If we didn't meet, my kids wouldn't be here now. It's so different. We do talk about that. And
you also probably wouldn't have gone to the UFC. All of that.
Definitely not, because nobody else would have supported me the way that she did to quit work and move to another city. Most women aren't going to let you do that. You know what I mean? So anyway, there you go. Rest of the fight card. So I'm looking at it here. Co-main event. Should we talk about that? Claudia Gadelha, sure. Angela Hill.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying that Angela Hill was robbed. I thought it was it was a very close fight. I'm not an expert like that. Maybe you could break it down. What do you think, Angela Hill? Do you think that she was robbed of the split decision?
Okay, I don't think she was robbed. I think if I was a judge, I would have given it to Angela. Right, so they're kind of the same thing. What I'm just saying is the terminology robbery is a little strong. Round one, it was an even round, but I think there was about 2 minutes left in the round. Maybe I'm off on the time. Gadelha got a good takedown. She got some control. She landed some shots, and as we know, takedowns score big in the UFC. So round one, Claudia Gadelha. Round two, again, evenish round, all on the feet, but boom, massive right hand connected for Angela Hill. It spun Gadelha right round from facing forward to facing behind, spun around 180 degrees, and then she face planted on the floor. It was a huge drop. It was a huge knockdown, And then she just, from that point on as well, she landed a few more. It was definitely round two was Angela Hill's round. So going into three, it was 1-1, clear as day for me. And I don't think anyone would disagree on that. And round three, I think Angela was the busier fighter. I think she landed with more frequency, but it was close. It was close.
Yeah, I think Claudia was landing harder shots probably.
Maybe, but listen, if you ask me, and I remember at the time thinking, oh, Angela's got this, but anytime it's that close, you can't call it a robbery and you can't really lose your shit about it. It fucking sucks though, because even though it was close, it doesn't reflect that on your record. It doesn't reflect it on your paycheck. It's like you just got your ass kicked for 3 rounds. It doesn't matter if it was close. You lost, and that's that. It's black and white. There's a winner, there's a loser, and on paper she was a loser. And she's calling out for a rematch. I think Carla Esparza was calling her out as well, I think, or maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe she called out Gadelha. I think it was Gadelha and Carla Esparza, pardon me. But still, she'd like to run that back. That was a great fight as well. Tremendous fight. I mean, fuck me, what a pace those ladies fought at. It was, as I say, those fights, top to bottom, were amazing. All right, let's go down the card. Next one was Dan Ige, Edson Barboza. Fuck me. Did you watch that one, Lewis?
Yeah, I watched them all. I watched the entire main card, and then I watched the Matt Brown Miguel Baeza fight as well. This is another one super close. I think this was the one where I thought it should have probably gone to Barboza. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of really close decisions. I mean, I think across the board, Barboza. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I started getting the Yadong Song and the Barboza fight confused, so I don't want to speak out of turn here. But I just remember thinking when they announced that decision that Barboza should have won.
Harrington, outside perspective, because listen, it was a close fight, and I just want to say, first of all, fuck me, both those guys. I mean, it seemed to be a theme of every single fight of the night. The pace that everybody was fighting at was incredible. I'm not sure if it. Being an empty arena and Dana White being one of the only few people sitting there, maybe that sent them a message that, hold on, the boss is right there. And typically when there's thousands of people in the arena, maybe they don't notice it as much. You know, I always notice Dana and Lorenzo and whoever right there, but I don't know because everyone fucking brought it 110%. And again, that fight was so back and forth, so much technique and power on display, the speed of those guys. And Edson Barboza dropping down to 145 pounds, being 10 pounds lighter. We were worried that he wasn't going to have the speed, he wasn't going to have the cardio, wasn't going to have the power. Well, fuck me. All of them things were there. And Dan Ige, same thing right back at him as well. The pair of them, tremendous fucking fight. All out war, top to bottom. Ige got the result. And again, just like I said about the co-main event, it was one of those fights that was so close that you can't call it a robbery. And it could have went one way, could have went the other. In fact, one judge did score it the other way, right? Yeah. Harrington, a couple of questions. One, what was your opinion on the fight? And then two, break down what's happening with Barboza's camp, appealing the decision, etc., etc.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I had that fight.
Harrington, please take off the picture from when you're 22 years old and in the best shape of your life. The one moment you were ever in good shape. I want that. This is what we want.
That's what everybody wants. Number one, they want to see you, right? They don't want to still and just see your voice. Secondly, I was like, I didn't recognize that person. What the fuck has happened to you? Where did that person go?
Well, I was 24 years old doing like mud runs, like Spartan Race and Tough Mudders every weekend. That was my life. For
now he does. Now he just lays down in mud.
Sleeps in mud.
Yeah,
on
mud
the bridges. No. So you're doing the 30-day challenge as well. You're running every day, right?
Yes, sir.
So why can't you get back to that? So be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself now and show the world what you're going to turn into. You know what I mean? Come on.
I don't think I'm going to take that decade off my face. You know what I mean? Like that's
You'd be surprised.
Decade of hard living, Mike.
Men, I'll tell you right now, this is the thing that sucks about women. I feel bad. Don't tell Rebecca this. It's just the truth. We get better as we age. Yeah, every second of her life is her becoming older, and by societal standards, not by art. We love Rebecca Bisping, okay, and she's the fucking best woman in the world. But let's just get real. It's tough for a woman. Right now, Michael Bisping.
Oh, she's going downhill at an alarming rate.
And you're going uphill right now before our very eyes.
I know. Look at me. Listen, I did a picture with Angie Hill after the fight. You know, she came over. We had a little chat. We did a picture, and she put it online, and everyone was like, fucking Bisping, look at him. Look at this guy. He's getting younger, to your point. And you're right, because men, as they get a little older, and by the way, I look better now than when I did when I was younger. Harrington, that's my point, because, you know, a little more style or whatever, who fucking knows.
Salt and pepper in the hair.
Yeah, but you start to get distinguished. You know what I mean? You're a man of the world. Right? Physically, I look like a man of the world. Mentally, I'm about like a 25, 26-year-old. I'm starting to mature. I'm a slow maturer. I was very immature when I was a kid. But yeah, there you go. So Harrington, there is some inspiration for you, buddy. But still, back to the questions that I asked.
Well, I had the fight scored for Barboza. I think this one actually, you know, while this one was a split decision, I think this one was, I can see it being a little more understandable. Ige actually did outstrike Barboza in that second round by 1 strike total. Barboza big enough for a 1 strike advantage for the entire fight. So it was really neck and neck. I feel like the clearest round was round 1, where Barboza was just landing almost at will. Seemed like he tuckered out a little bit more. He was more accurate throughout the whole fight. And I think just landed combinations and bunches on Ige. So I would have scored it 2 rounds to 1 for Barboza.
So what's going on with the appeal, though? Because I hear that Barboza and his camp, his manager, by the way, his manager is a guy called Alex Davis, one of the best guys in mixed martial arts. Known that person since 2003, I think. He was coming out to England. And so I've known him a long time. And he's just, every time I'm away, because he's, you know, one of the main guys at American Top Team. He's always at the events. He's just an awesome person to talk to. He's a great martial artist. And, yeah, I always enjoy talking to him. So shout out Alex Davis. But please, what's happening?
So it was actually Alex Davis who spoke about this. What happened was Edson Barboza had previously, argued with the stoppage for the Paul Felder fight. He tried to do the same with the Florida Commission immediately after his fight. His idea was, if we go in, we show the data of the fight, break it down, and show clearly that Barboza won the fight, they would overturn the decision. Florida came back to them and said, unless you think he was doping or he was cheating, we cannot review a fight.
What was the data on the fight? I don't suppose you got any stats, numbers, or anything there that you can share?
Like I was saying, I just had it up 1 second ago.
Yeah, you good.
The Barboza did outland him, according to Fight Metric, 80-79 for the fight. Per round, Ige outstruck him by 1 strike in the second round and 6 strikes in the third round. Barboza with an 8-strike edge in the first round. Barboza,
Go ahead.
Also significantly more accurate throughout the fight, though. In that first round, 58%, and second round, 57%, compared to 42 and 49% for Ige.
Either way, it was remarkably close. I mean, those numbers you're talking about, 79-80. It's fucking close. And I get it. I understand the frustration. They wanted to come down and have a big win, and they felt like they won. And of course, on paper, you can make a case that they won. So I get it. Alex has got his guys back. He's like family to him, and he's trying to help him out. But Commission shut it down. Lewis, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, Barboza, never an easy fight. Losses to Khabib, Kevin Lee, Justin Gaethje. Now, I think some of these younger guys like Ige, it's Edson Barboza's in a tough situation here. I mean, I think he's he's lost 5 out of his last 6. Ige, I think he looked great, but I don't think that performance, I'm not convinced that like Ige is this world beater after watching him go to a close decision. And once again, I agree with Harrington.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Dan Ige, fuck me, man. I think he's something special. As is Edson Barboza. Barboza looked as good as ever. A man that's been around that long, you might be thinking, maybe he's getting towards the end, but no, he looked as sharp as ever. And I think he's a real problem for everyone in featherweight. And I think Dan Ige is potentially a champion at 145. I mean, I see him matching up well with Volkanovski. I see him matching up well with Max Holloway. He has the potential to beat all those people. So Dan Ige is definitely on the right track to stardom. Also, he's the assistant for the manager, Ali Abdelaziz. And Ige was telling us in the fighter meetings that that's really beneficial for him because he... because Fight Week, he's looking after all Ali's fighters when he's not fighting himself, of course.
He's personally Ali's assistant.
He's personally Ali's assistant, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So he was telling us that it's really beneficial to him because he's around all these top-level fighters, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Justin Gaethje, and the whole roster. There's a lot of them. And he said, every time I see them through Fight Week, I see what they do, and I steal a little bit from there. And I steal a little bit from here. And he takes all the good advice. I'm like, wow, that would be very beneficial. Seeing some of the best guys in the sport, how they do it. He said, every time, I always pick something up, whether it's diet, whether it's weight cut, whether it's mental preparation. So that's a very valuable tool to have. But anyway, congrats again to both guys. Let's switch now to the main card opener. Song Yadong, Marlon Vera. I've got a croaky voice. Let me rest it a second. Lewis, thoughts, please.
Another one. I thought another decision that could have probably went to Marlon Vera. A lot of questionable decisions throughout the night, but once again, these are all super close fights. The problem is whenever I watch the fights and I've had a couple drinks and you sort of get lost in it. And I'm watching them for entertainment value. And you probably have a much different perspective because you watch them as a fighter. You have a different set of eyes that are on them. Like, I want to watch them and just go like fucking. And when you have a night of fights like this where it's decision after decision and super close decisions, it's almost like it takes a little bit of a level of like extra focus. So if you're not sort of looking for that at the time, I think you sort of lose it. But I remember when I thought this one was clear as day. In fact, I was mistaken before when I was saying that I thought the Barboza decision was clear. I was thinking about the Marlon Vera. I thought Vera really clearly won this fight. But once again, another super close fight. So, it's not like a robbery. None of them were robberies.
No, they weren't. They weren't robberies at all. Of course, Marlon Vera once again made the best man win, but Vera is now teamed up with Jason Perillo. So I had some good insight to that. He's also teamed up with a guy called Darryl Christian, who's an Olympic wrestling coach. I used to train with Darryl Christian as well. He trains with Colin Oyama. So I know his whole team. And Marlon Vera, great guy, great fighter. He was on a 5-fight win streak, all stoppages. On the flip side, same thing with Song Yudong, fucking knockout artist. I think 5 fights where he hadn't lost. There was one draw in there as well. So this was always going to be a good fight. And I thought Marlon won. And I was trying to explain because Saturday night after the fight, Marlon was pissed. He was backstage. This probably didn't make it to the media, but he was backstage throwing all kinds of he was screaming, he was shouting, he was talking shit.
In the ring, he was really pissed. In the
ring, he was pissed. He went storming out the octagon, and then backstage, he carried on. You got to remember, and his point was, he's got 3 fucking kids, right? He's just bought an expensive house, and he felt that he won that fight and was being robbed of his win bonus. All right, he got fight of the night, so that probably definitely helped make up for it. But it's not just about the money either. It's about, you have your pride. If you think you want to fight, you want to get the recognition that you deserve. But again, I don't think it was a robbery. I was trying to explain, and you got to pick your words carefully. I'm talking to his coaches. I'm talking to Perillo. I'm talking to Marlon Vera as well. And I was trying to convey to them, and I think that they were looking at me like, are you fucking saying I lost this fight, Bisping? I'm like, no. I was trying to say why I understand the judges may have given it. I said, I think you won. You clearly outstruck him. You landed more frequently. But Song Yudong hits so fucking hard that I think his impact, it fucking echoed around the arena. When he would land a shot, so did some of Marlon's. But when Song was landing, fuck me, they sounded so heavy.
This was
and
a
the
great
fact
fight.
that Marlon took all those shots, that's another separate conversation. So I'm just saying, I think the impact is what swayed the judges. Now, it shouldn't have done. Because Marlon still landed a lot of good shots. But as I'm saying, I'm trying to understand that. I think that's why it swayed to Song Yudong's favor.
Yeah, I think, obviously very upset. And, they always say don't let it go to the judges. Look, the MMA judging in the best case scenario is questionable. The problem is if you have just one bad judge at that table that night, or I shouldn't say bad, that's a wrong way to put it. But if you have one judge that's making questionable decisions, or maybe that isn't as, experienced as the other judges, it can set off an entire night of fights. There could be some real questions. So this is why they say that. Yeah, sort of unfortunate. This was kind of an interesting little tidbit. I didn't realize this before the fight. I guess that they were having Song Yudong was having trouble getting into the country.
No,
and
he was in the country. He was in the country because I didn't understand this. In fact, I'm glad
Uriah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I was going to say I'm glad you brought this up actually because I wanted to mention Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber,
he's a badass.
He's a fucking badass. That's what I said. I want to give him some props because he weighed in. He weighed in because there was a potential that Song Yudong wasn't going to be able to fight, right? So Uriah Faber walked in, weighed in. But then I saw Song Yudong weigh in. I was like, what the fuck am I missing here?
Yeah, what happened?
So it was the fact of his work visa. His work visa wasn't being finalized. He was in the country. He was able to get in the country, but he wasn't necessarily legal to work yet. So they were talking about flying him out of the country on a jet, fucking having that taken care of, then flying him back in the country
Jesus
on the
Christ.
same jet, just a whole fucking nightmare. And then so Uriah Faber stepped on the scale. I remember seeing him Thursday night. I'm with Perillo in the hotel lobby, and there's Uriah, and we're chatting away. And he said, I'm weighing in the morning. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, fuck it. He said, I'm going to skip dinner. I'll jump in the sauna in the morning, shift a few pounds, and I'll jump on the scale. And everyone was like, man, you're a fucking animal, And he said on the ESPN coverage, which I really liked, he came up with a really good line. He said, listen, what are you going to do? He said, if a full training camp is great. He said, but I'm in the gym. I'm in shape. I'm on weight. I fought my entire life. I'm a good
training Song Yudong for this fight.
He said, and if I'm out and about with my girl in a bar and some fucking guy walks over and slaps her on the ass and pushes me and knocks my drink out of my hand, he said, what are you going to do? He said, you're going to fucking fight right then and there. You don't have a training camp in that environment. He said, this is no fucking different. Fuck it. I'm looking at it like he's just slapped my girl on the ass. I'll fight him on a moment's notice. And I was like, God bless you, Uriah Faber, because that is awesome.
Yeah, that's a badass fucking move. Uriah's awesome. We had him on the show recently. Such a cool guy. And yeah, I mean, nothing to lose, to be honest. Looks like a king. Comes in short notice.
He probably knew the fight wasn't going to happen. He's like, hey, I'm going to get on that fucking scale. I'm only a pound over. I'll just skip breakfast, have a little workout. I was going to work out anyway. And you know what? I'm intermittent fasting. I don't eat until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He made zero sacrifice and had everybody worshipping him. I just spent 10 minutes saying how great he is. You know?
We're going to name today's podcast Uriah Faber is King.
Oh God! I mean, fair play. No, I'm joking, by the way, but fucking yeah.
I think it was. I think he came in at 152 or 153 when he weighed in, which would have meant that it would have, obviously would have had to give up a portion of the purse. But I mean, that what a great moment to come in and try to save the fight, even if it wasn't completely genuine. But yeah, I mean, look,
it was.
It was though, right? Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for him to get on the scale. Yeah.
I'm just being funny. You know what I mean? Trying to find some comedy in the situation. Of course, it was real. Of course, it was. And fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, it never happened. The fight went ahead. Great fight. They both got fight of the night. Marlon was pissed. Of course, emotions run high. He calmed down. We flew home on the same flight, me, him, and Perillo, so we all talked about it. We had a good laugh. That was fun, and that was the main card. I mean, there was Christoph Jotko and Eric Anders on there as well. Jotko won that one. That was probably the most lackluster of the night, but, all the other fights were incredible. I think we got to give a big shout-out, though, to Nate Landwehr and Darren Elkins. Did you see that fight?
I didn't see it, but this is the fight that everyone's saying should have gotten fight of the night. And Nate Landwehr,
I think you pronounce it. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, I mean, people have high hopes for this kid. Apparently, talk shit really, really well. But unfortunately, I didn't see the fight. What did you think?
Oh, dude, this fight was fucking incredible. I'm telling you, Nate Landwehr. He's a bit of a, a little bit of a redneck. Nice guy, though, with China away. Darren Elkins, bit of a fucking redneck. Fight anyone, anywhere, time. And I'm like, they're like carbon copies of one another. Right. And I commentated on the first Nate the Train Landwehr's fight in the UFC. So obviously I did my research. Fuck, what a character, what a personality. He was the M1 champion in Russia. So he's good because the competition out there is fucking fantastic. And he came up against Gilbert Burns. Not Gilbert Burns. What's his brother called? Herbert Burns, I think it is. Herbert? That sounds weird. I think it's Herbert Burns. Gilbert and Herbert. Is it Herbert? I think it's Herbert. Anyway, he went up against Herbert Burns, got dropped with a knee and out cold. But he got a chance at redemption. And I knew he was a character. And he was saying in the fight meetings that after that fight in the UFC, his town, I forget what it's called, in Tennessee or wherever it is, they fucking started a Nate Day. So there's one day of the year now, it's fucking Nate Day. And I'm like, fuck Clitheroe, man. You bastards. He has one fight in the UFC. I have the most fights in the UFC out of anyone at one point. I've got the Hall of Fame. I've got the championship. No recognition there for me, Lewis.
No key to the city, no nothing?
Nothing.
No parade when you won the title. Like come home. We'll throw a fucking. We'll have a cake for you at a Applebee's or something.
Not in Clitheroe. In Manchester, there was a big turnout at a shopping mall for me, but Clitheroe, nothing.
Bisping had visited Manchester 5 times in his life before that.
So in Clitheroe, there's a cafe called Jimmy Clitheroe's. Jimmy Clitheroe was a comedian in the 50s. He gets his own fucking cafe. I put Clitheroe on the map. Nate Landwehr has one fight. He's got a day dedicated to him. I get nothing. Anyway, that aside, the fight was incredible, man. The fight was fucking incredible. They both beat the crap out of each other. There was a headbutt early on, opened up a big cut on Darren Elkins. And I remember Paul Felder said, because Darren Elkins, I don't know if you're familiar with what he looks like, he has The Damage tattooed on his chest. And Paul Felder says, Darren Elkins is the type of guy, he wears his heart on his sleeve. I said, where's his heart on his sleeve? I said, he wears his nickname tattooed on his chest. Never mind heart on his sleeve. Anyway, it was a bloodbath. Nate Landwehr was covered in Darren Elkins' blood. It was fucking awesome. Nate Landwehr screaming in the middle of the fight, Dana! Whoa! It was terrifying. The guy's out of his mind. But in the best way possible for watching a cage fight.
Yeah, you need more characters. The more people can get out there, you need the good guys as well. But you want to get people to sort of make statements. I mean, this is something that people have been talking about online for days after the fact. So I'm sure he's going to get a big fight. And I mean, honestly, there's not much shame. We've seen that happen plenty of times where people come into the UFC and they lose their UFC debut, even if they are, really good. It's I don't know the M1 setup. I have no idea what the production is like. But if you're from the United States and you're a redneck from Tennessee, you want to be fighting in the UFC. You don't. No offense to M1, but you just don't. You want to be in the UFC. It's the Premier League. It is what it is. So I'm sure there still had to be, no matter how experienced he was, some sort of octagon jitters, as they call it. I enjoy good rednecks. My friend Nate Bargatze, good friend of mine, comedian, my son's godfather. He's from Tennessee
nothing
as well.
Against rednecks. You could say that I'm an English redneck. People don't realize it. Americans don't. So like when I came out to America, everybody all says all the time, oh my God, you could say anything and it just sounds amazing. I'm serious. The amount of times people have said that, your accent, you sound so posh and proper and this and that. They don't say that in fucking England. No way. I'm from the Northwest, okay? That is not what they say in England. I'm like, I'm never going home. Out here, they think I sound like James Bond. In England, they think I sound like white trash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Darren Elkins, just want to give him a shout out. Talking to him back at the hotel Saturday night. As I say, we were sitting there with Uriah Faber, Mark Coleman, shout out Mark Coleman, Hall of Famer. We were talking to him, Perillo, Uriah Faber, and Danny Castillo as well. He's a very funny guy. Actually, I had a good laugh with him. And Darren Elkins was there. And fuck me, man, the damage that he had on his face. He could hardly see. Eyes just smashed beyond belief. Just his face was black and blue. But he was having a good old time. He hadn't had a drink in about 7 months. He could hardly string a sentence together. And rightly so after a tough fight like that. God bless him. Sure. So no judgment. And he was great. His attitude was awesome. As I say, couldn't understand much. But the energy was awesome. And took it like a man. What a guy.
There is a disconnect from... I mean, because I even like now where I'm way more exposed to fighting and violence than I was in the past. And it's very peripherally. It's not like me and you are at the fights all the time or I'm constantly backstage looking at these guys' bruises. It's very rare, but I'm more exposed to it. I've been around it enough now where I'm a little more desensitized. But I mean, when I was a kid, if I would see blood, like if I saw a fight, like a street fight, and there was blood in that street fight, I would like cringe and like wince and have to look away. It would really fuck me up. And I would just assume like you're so like you could hang out with this guy at the bar and he's got his eyes are fucking shut and you're drinking. He's probably bleeding and there's pus coming out from parts of his face at times.
Yeah.
And it's just such a part of your lifestyle that it doesn't really register as weird. But to most people, that's fucking jarring. Like anybody walking into that bar is like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
No, for sure. Yeah, me and Perillo were talking about it. And because I was saying to Perillo, I said, Jesus fucking Christ. Look at his face, man. And Perillo was like, Mike, I've seen you like that on many an occasion. You know what I mean? Maybe not that bad, but but as Perillo said, he said, as long as you win, which unfortunately he didn't, but when you win, you don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck how bad the damage is. You got that win.
It's a sense of pride, I'm sure.
Of course. I remember when I fought Anderson Silva at the end of that fight because he did some damage. I had fucking a broken nose. I had stitches across here. I had stitches across there, stitches there, bust lip, fucking. I was a mess. 2 black eyes. And I went to Rome with Rebecca right after it. And we stayed at a beautiful hotel. And we went to we did Rome for a few days in style. Went to all the best restaurants and everything. But I'm walking around looking like an absolute psychopath. You know what I mean?
It's probably even worse a few days later because it's all small.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. It all swells up. Your eyes go black. I've got like 25 stitches in my face. And I'm in these restaurants and you can't help but feel that everyone's looking at you. You know what I mean?
It's disgusting. I would complain about you. I'm like, there's a man bleeding from his face he's not even socially distancing. He's 4 feet from me.
Yeah, well, this was 2016, so fuck off. But I felt compelled to have to apologize every time. I'd always say to the waiters, I'd say, look, hey, listen, FYI, I'm a professional fighter. That's why I just had a big fight at the weekend. That's why it's like this. And he'd look at me like, you're a professional. Shut the fuck up. Who cares? And Rebecca was like, Michael, stop apologizing for it. I'm like, babe, people are looking at me. It's a nice establishment. They're probably like, fortunately we'd made reservations. If we just walked in and said, can we get a table for 2? They'd have gone, oh, oh, sorry.
Well,
No
you're
tables
a professional
tonight.
fighter or you're a problem. So
Yeah.
it's got to like you're more than likely a fucking problem who's been bashed in the head for being an asshole. So it's like, God damn it, this guy, you know,
we're gonna say no, and he's gonna start a riot. He's gonna
it's gonna
kick
be a whole
off big
thing.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but no. To be fair, a couple of them they said, "Yeah, Michael, we know who you are. We saw you fight, but congrats, whatever." But yeah, so there you go. I mean, there was a few other fights on there. I guess Rodrigo Nascimento had a big win off the Contender Series. Courtney Casey. I want to talk about this real fast. Courtney Casey got an armbar over Mari Romero Barella, an Italian fighter. When they hit the mat, I could see that she was rolling for an armbar, right? And here's what I'm going to bring up. Some shitty Instagram page. Because I was saying, maybe you could give a little bit of knowledge on this, Lewis. I'm not sure what your jiu-jitsu skills are. But if you have an opponent in guard, right? So the guard is you're on your back, they're on their knees, you have your legs wrapped around their waist, and you cross your feet like this. You know what I mean? You cross your feet, and then therefore that's called a closed guard. To do anything, to hit a sweep, to hit a submission, get back to your feet, whatever it is, you have to open your legs. You have to go to open guard, right? And I was saying because she was holding her legs closed for a while, right? I said, it's kind of just a stalling technique there. You know, you've got to open the guard. And I was like, oh, she's rolling her hips. She's going to go for the armbar. She went for the armbar and she got it. Some shitty Instagram page, which tagged you, Lewis. They tagged you in it on their story, right? At Gomez Comedy. You must have seen it. They were criticizing you. We love your work, champ, but you don't know what you're talking about. Look at all the submissions you can get from guard. You can get triangles. You can get omoplatas. You can get this, that, the other. And I'm like, so I had to respond. So I wrote him a big, long message. Listen, you fucking fool. Of course you can get submissions from the guard, but you can't get them with a closed guard. And they sent me a picture of the armbar saying, look at the armbar. I'm like, yeah, is that a closed guard? No, she's got her legs wrapped around her fucking head, extending the arm. You have to open the guard.
Yeah. You can set it up from a closed guard, you know, but then you open the guard to execute the submission.
Exactly.
I didn't see that, but I appreciate the fact that they wanted me to tag on. Sometimes they do that.
They wanted you to talk shit.
Tell Michael Bisping he doesn't know anything about MMA.
Mentioning their shitty page, and I shouldn't have responded because I looked at the page. It had like 40 followers. I'm like, me commenting and like leaving a big, long, whiny thing is the best thing that ever happened to that page.
I'm guilty of it all the time. I feed the trolls every day of my life. I can't help myself.
Miguel Baeza got a big win over Matt Brown. Shout out Miguel Baeza. Shout out Matt Brown as well, true veteran of the game. Miguel Baeza, watch out for that name. I'm telling you, we're going to see him in the future. He's awesome. Gigi Chikadze had a big win over Erwin Rivera, a man that found out about the fight, on Thursday night. Again, what a fucking guy. That guy had balls. He showed up. He went 15 minutes, fought at a high pace. He was just outmatched against a bigger guy. Gigi Chikadze, great kickboxer. As I say, the fights were amazing. Top to bottom, fights were fucking amazing. They absolutely delivered. Well done, the UFC, and well done to all the fighters, and that's it. That is
the 30th. We're seeing the next fight?
Yeah, that's right. Either going to be Phoenix or Las Vegas. Looking like it's going to be Phoenix now, to be honest.
I'll be in Phoenix, by the way. Let's do some plugs real quick. If we have any questions, Brian, real quick, pull them up. bympod@gmail.com is the email address if you guys want to shoot us an email, whether it's fan art, pictures. Somebody sent me an image. We'll put it up on the Instagram or the Twitter of George St. Pierre, which was just a shitty joke that I made one time. And this guy drew a whole picture of George St. Pierre with like a butthole and a taint as his face. It's fucking great. That guy won a pair of Sandoval gloves. If you guys love the show, support us. It's easy to support us. You can subscribe on iTunes. Very simply, subscribe, leave us a 5-star ranking, a positive review. Also, the YouTube channel. We are fucking blowing up. Go subscribe on YouTube right now. You can join the live premieres of the show for free on YouTube. And if you guys want to get the show uncensored, ad-free, and with pre-release, plus access to all of the entire on-demand library, go to gasdigitalnetwork.com. That is the home of the Bleeding Me podcast, plus 22 other shows. We're giving away 14-day free trial right now. If you use the promo code BYM, you can catch up on the entire on-demand library and binge watch everything while you have a little bit of time at home.
I'll tell you what, before we do any questions or whatever, there was a big announcement Saturday night. Kevin Randleman going to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. What do you know about Kevin Randleman, Lewis?
I know a lot about Kevin Randleman. I'm much more of an old school UFC nerd, right?
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
UFC heavyweight champion, defended his title. Not when you look at his record, I don't think it's the most impressive record. I think especially towards the end. But I think when they created this pioneer category for the UFC Hall of Fame, it did make sense. I think that it was a nice moment because they don't let the fighters know, and obviously Kevin Randleman passed away a few years ago, but they don't let the fighters know that you guys are being inducted. I remember this because of you. When you were inducted, you didn't know it was happening until it happened.
Exactly.
And it was sort of a nice moment where Mark Coleman, who they showed his speech where he was like, it shouldn't even be me up here. Kevin Randleman should be the one getting inducted. And then for them to cut to Mark Coleman and sort of show his reaction, very emotional. It's nice, dude. The UFC has done a great job of sort of creating these feel-good moments propped up by the most fucking brutal sport in the world.
Yeah.
The amount of tears and like nice little tearjerker moments. And then it's these guys brutally beating each other down in a cage. It's pretty kind of funny when they stand against each other.
Yeah, Kevin the Monster Randleman. I mean, he looked like a fucking monster. He really was. And I remember, same thing, Lewis, the older, old school stuff, they stand out more because, number one, when people first started watching the sport and you saw these guys, and yeah, okay, there was a lot of steroids floating back around then, but it made it even more impressive to look at because they just had these gigantic shoulders and biceps and traps, and fucking Randleman could jump in the air so high, it was so explosive.
Over the
crazy.
cage, you would see him jump up at like 6 feet high, yeah.
Fucking insane. So they do stand out. And then he was a legend and a very, very nice guy as well. He won the vacant UFC title against Pete Williams. He defended against Pedro Hizzo, lost it to Randy Couture. He beat Shogun Hua, beat Babalu. I'll never forget him when he knocked out Mirko Krokop in Pride. That was a big shocker. No one was expecting that one. I mean, I'm so happy that he got to do that. Him and Mark Coleman, who I spent a fair bit of time with at the weekend, by the way, because it's funny. I used to know Mark, and then we had a bit of a thing. He came up to me the other night apologizing because when my eye first happened, and I was very sensitive about it, I didn't think I was ever going to fight again. And I was in Vegas. I was at a fight. It was me, Conor McGregor, and Audie Attar, and we were sitting there, and we'd had a few drinks, and I was drinking a lot back then. As I say, I wasn't sure if I was going to fight. So I was drunk, and Coleman was like, whatever, like bothering me, whatever. I was trying to watch, and I said something to him, and he leaned over and he grabbed me, and he said something. He called me a one-eyed cunt, right? And I got a bit fucked off and whatever.
Whoa.
But it's all water under the bridge. It's a long time ago, but I
never heard about this.
Yeah, I was pissed at the time. It's in the book. Mark came up, is it in the book? I'm like, it's a little bit in the book. I might have lied to him, to make him feel better. But anyway, we had a really good chat at the weekend, and, Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman, they're the guys. They were Coleman was the godfather of ground and pound, and then Randleman was like his protege. It was
Mark Kerr. Remember they made that movie,
the
documentary, The Smashing Machine.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember I just won the Ultimate Fighter. I'm in Las Vegas, and I remember Kevin Randleman, of course, as I just said, started watching Pride early UFCs, and I was at the pool in Vegas, and I got a tap on the shoulder, and I look around, and it's Kevin Randleman, and I said, "Hey, what's up, Mike?" And I'm like, fuck, he knows who I am. He's like, huge fan. And that he was just so nice because I remember I was the fan. I was a fucking major fan of his. I'm like, you're one of the first guys I watched in MMA. But here's Mark Coleman. Sorry, not Mark Coleman. Kevin Randleman coming over to me and just being so humble. And that's the interaction that I always remember. Just a fucking class act, very humble, very friendly. And it was such a sad day when he's lost, and I'm just so happy to see the UFC honoring him, putting him in the Hall of Fame. It's beautiful.
Yeah, how could anybody complain about? First of all, how do you complain about anybody getting into the UFC Hall of Fame? I mean, it's sort of fantasy. Like it is just this closed world. I mean, who are you complaining about? Like,
who complains?
Well, do you remember when you got in? Tim Sylvia complained that you got in, which was psychotic, and then it was like, people were online posting. It was like, oh, does he really deserve it? Yeah. And you're like, it's almost like, yeah, he's a pioneer. I mean, you think of these like old school guys, and also one of the first like very real deal athletic guys. Like when back in the day, the heavyweight division of the UFC, when he came into it, it was still mixed up with a lot of guys that were like, I don't remember if they really crossed over too much, but like the Scott Ferozos and the Tank Abbotts and all those guys. There was a little bit of crossover when the Randy Couture's and the Kevin Randlemans and the Mark Colemans came in. There was a sort of a changing of the guards, and Kevin Randleman was sort of the first freak athlete super pioneer of the sport. I think it's great that the UFC is honoring these guys.
People are always going to bitch. They're always going to find something to complain about. How can you complain about that? It's the pioneer wing. George St. Pierre, I think, is the main entry, if you will. You can't complain about that. George St. Pierre deserves to be in there as much as anybody, if not more so. And then for pioneers, well, you can't do everybody every year. And if there's other people that you think should be in there instead, I'm sure they'll get to them eventually. But fucking Kevin Randleman, without question, deserves to be in the pioneer wing of the UFC Hall of Fame. 100%. Yeah. And if you have a problem with that, I don't know, readdress what gets you annoyed, because you're wrong. You're absolutely fucking wrong. Anyway, there you go. Questions. What do we have? Anything?
I got one question from Martin, and give me 1 second to pull it up. I'm just gonna
no worries, bud. No worries.
Not a problem, Brian.
Remember, if you've got any questions, and we love the content, bympod@gmail.com. Send it in,
and let me also say this. If we don't read your question, it's because it stinks. We want questions. Like, we really do. Like, we're begging for them here. Because I get so many people like, dude, you didn't read my question. Tell Bisping to read my question. Okay, yeah, dude. If your question sucks, it's probably not going to make it onto the air. We can't just answer. I'd rather answer no questions than just answer a question. So make it a little bit creative, make it unique. It also doesn't just have to be mixed martial arts related. So if it's something advice related, I think that's a great thing. Bisping has fucking lived a crazy life. I've lived a crazy life. We can give you a little bit of insight, maybe our perspectives. It could be about anything.
Let's give an example of a terrible question. How do you think? No. Hey.
I'll tell you the best terrible question. We get it almost every week from 10 people. If you could fight one person, alive or dead, who would it be? We get this question 10 times per week on the show. It's never going to be answered again.
When I first started fighting for the UFC, I'd go down to London a lot and I'd sit down with journalists, and they'd always ask this same question. I got it a lot. If you could have dinner with anybody, alive or dead, 3 people, who would it be? I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, what do you want? Yeah, all right, Muhammad Ali, Mahatma Gandhi, John Lennon. Boom, cliche. Go fuck yourself. So who's your favorite fighter? Or you know what I mean? You got to do better, guys. Give us something creative.
Just do something random. I mean, the more random you go, the better it is. It's going to be a funnier question.
Be naked. You just blur out the sensitive parts, dress up as Lewis, dress up as Harrington.
That'd be smart.
You would make the show. Brian, first question. Right. What we got?
So we got this question from Martin. I think he's from Australia.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Lewis. It's Martin all the way from Sydney, Australia. I hope you're both keeping safe and healthy. Hope your families are doing good. Question from me is for both of you. 1, Mike, if MMA was never a sport, and Lewis, if being a comedian was never a profession, what would your lives look like right now? Would you guys either be on an upward spiral in life, or would you be on a downward spiral? I'd like to know.
David from Sydney? David?
Martin.
Wow, way off. First of all, thank you for the question. Secondly, looking like Louis J. Gomez. I said dress up as Louis. He took that fucking literal. My God, first question. I was talking about this the other day to Rebecca because I tried to join the army, Louis. I was working at this place, Contrast Upholstery, doing a shitty job. And I was sick of it. And I was trying to, turn my life around. I went into the army recruitment offices, tried to join the army. And I'd been arrested for a couple of things. Nothing bad. I wasn't a criminal per se. Never done anything, dishonest or stolen anything like that in my life. I'd had a couple of bar fights. That was it. We're not talking fucking anything bad. We're not talking serious assault. We're talking, common assault a couple of times for getting into a scrap in a bar. Nothing bad. The army fucking turned me down. They turned me down.
You would think that's like a skill set. You'd be like, you know what? This guy's ready to go.
I was trying to join the infantry. I was going to go fight wars for the motherfuckers. You would think they were guys that liked to tear it up a little bit. And as I say, it wasn't anything dishonest. Wasn't drugs. I wasn't a drug dealer.
Like to infiltrate once in a while, baby boy.
And I remember I'd been to the army recruitment office. I'd done everything. Took this aptitude test. Yada yada yada. And we were all about it because my dad was in the army. And Rebecca's father, he was in the Air Force as well. And, you know, I wasn't going anywhere. I was like, I got to turn this round. So I thought, right, I'll join the Army. And in fact, the plan was to join the Army and then get on the boxing team, right? Because there's a boxer, the Dark Destroyer, Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn? I think it was Nigel Benn. Yeah, Nigel Benn, the Dark Destroyer. That was his nickname. He joined the Army and got on the boxing team and then turned pro. That's what I was going to do. My dad said, if you join the Army and you're good at a sport, you won't do much actual Army work. You'll just train that sport and represent the Army. Much like my brother Conrad, that's what he was doing, but playing rugby. So that was my big plan. I tried to join the Army. And I was at work one day and I get over the tannoy, the loudspeaker, phone call, Michael Bisping. And I pick it up, and it's Rebecca. She's on the phone, and she's like, yeah, I've just heard from the Army. I said, right, okay, what? Yeah, they're not going to take you. I said, why not? Criminal record. They want, and anyway, so I said, okay, all right, babe, put the phone down. And then, you know, obviously I'm on the shop floor, all the workers and everything, and I was fucking crying. Right, and I pretended I was talking on the phone for a little bit so I could get my shit together. Yeah. The guys at work would bust my balls big time. But I was like, fuck me. Is that it? I have fucked my life up so much that I can't even join the fucking infantry in the Army. Do you know what I mean?
Crazy.
Is that what it is? That's how bad my fucking life has come to. But anyway, as I said, I was talking to Beck the other night when we were in bed. I'm like, could you imagine? I'm on that phone call. They said, yes, we'll have you. And I joined the Army. I've been going away for 6 months at a time. I probably wouldn't have been in the UFC. It'd be fucking crazy.
You definitely wouldn't have been in the UFC. You definitely wouldn't have had the kid. Did you have the kids this time or no?
Yeah, we had kids. We had 2 kids.
2. Lucas wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be living in the States. You'd be some fucking Army dickhead. No offense to our military friends that listen to the show, but you know what the fuck you are. You guys are a little bit straight-laced. Come on. You need to fucking loosen up a little bit.
So anyway, so there you go. But what would I have been doing? I don't know. But I would have done something because I was ambitious and I wanted to achieve something. That's why I got in the UFC. But Lewis, your answer.
You know, it's kind of hard to say because I've worked every day since I was 11 years old. I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. I was the kid in my neighborhood who always had the iced tea stand, lemonade stand, going door to door, knocking on people's doors to shovel their driveways during the winter, sweep up the leaves in the fall time.
Just a hardworking guy.
I've always been a hard worker. But it's also because I grew up really, really poor. And my mom was fucking cheap. But not even poor. But it was like my mom was also particularly cheap. And we were poor. So it was like I had to make my own money in order to like enjoy anything. So yeah, I think I was always destined for some sort of being my own boss. I definitely would have always gone down that path. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I you know, the
other military, than comedy though. Other than comedy, what do you think? What would you have lent your skills?
I'm a salesman through and through. You know, I was a very successful salesman before I was in comedy or while I was in comedy. My last day job, I had a sales job that I was making 6 figures and doing very, very well. And, you know, I've always sort of understood sales. People that can't do sales.
Sell me that pen.
I hate that fucking thing. I hate it so much.
Sell me that pen. Sell me the fucking pen, dog. I need a pen, okay? I've got a contract to sign. I'm in a pen store, right? There's one. It's a Bic, okay? It's 10 cents, okay? But there's a granddaddy pen over there. It's nice. It's a cartridge pen. It's a Mont Blanc, whatever. I don't know how much it costs, but it's an expensive pen, right? You get commission. You're getting 50% on every Mont Blanc pen that you sell, okay? But I'm leaning towards the Bics. Sell me a pen. Sell me a pen.
Bisping, if I saw you, I'd be like, he needs a Bic. This guy's more of a Bic.
Motherfucker can't even get in the Army.
He seems like more of a Bic speed. But I mean, look, I was able to disconnect from good salesmen can disconnect from rejection. Every time you hear the word no, you go, cool. I'm legitimately closer to getting a yes now. It's a game of numbers, right? It's ratios. 1 out of 5 people I'm going to close. I heard the word no. Now it's 1 out of 4. No again. 1 out of 3. No again. 1 out of 2. Boom. Now I'm excited. The next one I'm going to close. Salespeople can they can wrap their mind around that and they can get excited about that. People that aren't good salespeople, they hear the word no and they shut down. They take it personally. They go, what the fuck? Like, is it me? Is it like, you have to sort of embrace rejection. And I've had a fucked up childhood. And I think I was able to embrace rejection very early. So I was able to apply that skill set. It doesn't mean shit to hear the word no when you have a fucking abusive mom.
Do you think you need a thick skin though as well?
Yeah, you do. You need to not take it personally. But
Yeah.
I made the analogy before. If you built a Michael Bisping robot, if I built a Louis J. Gomez robot to sell cars, he wouldn't get offended when somebody said no. You'd build this robot to like, all right, well, ask them the next question to get them to the yes. Figure out why they said no, and how do you turn that no into a yes, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I'm a salesman. I always have been. Even now that I am doing comedy.
What's the best thing you ever sold? Come on, you've just listen, and you've mentioned this a lot. You spend a lot of time, you big yourself up on it. You just said your philosophy for every no, you're just a step closer. I mean, what are you selling out here? What is?
I mean, the job that I worked where I was making six figures.
Yeah, that'll be a good start.
I was working at Equinox, the gym.
Sales. Memberships.
I was a membership advisor, and I learned a lot. That company's a very fucking smart company, and I take a lot of what they did and the way they ran their business, and I apply it to everything in my life now. Because here I'll give you a quick synopsis. Right, so every department had a manager, and every department had their own goals. So like the front desk, the sales, group fitness, personal training, the maintenance staff, and they would come in and they'd have these like quantifiable goals. So the maintenance staff, they'd be like, all right, well, you hit 90% of your goal this month. Next month, we have to raise it. And then just month after month in every department, they're just getting better and better and better and constantly quantifying it, constantly bonusing people off of quality. And it was all about quality. And it's just a very smart company. So I took a lot from what they did and I try to apply it to my personal life, not only, professionally, but
yeah, well, there you go, Lewis, this gym membership salesman, and good for you. It sounds amazing. I'm starving. I am fucking starving in quarantine. I mean, what are you doing tonight? We are on, and it's the biggest fucking conversation in our life every day. Rebecca's like, Rebecca, I'll have breakfast in the morning, and as soon as I'm finished eating breakfast, Rebecca says, "What are we doing for dinner?" I'm like, "Why ask me now? I'm full." Right, I don't want to think about food right now, but she's like, well, no. To be fair, she has to prep, she has to buy it, whatever, yada yada yada. But how's like the dining regimen in your house? What are you cooking? What are you ordering? What are you eating?
I've been bad the couple of weeks with just ordering out. I order Uber Eats, and it's just. I mean, look, I've been eating good food. Now that I'm exercising again, I'm running. It's hard to not. Like it all goes for me. If I'm exercising, I want to eat well because I want my exercise to feel better. It's a mental decision and it's all collective. So I've been doing pretty good, but it's all Uber Eats. I spend a fucking $10 fee every time, and then I realize I'm tipping them as well. And I'm like, they get the fee, right? Like, what am I doing right? Should I be tipping Uber Eats?
See, this is pissing me off because I don't mind Uber Eats, right, or DoorDash or whatever it is, and you can find some healthy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
of course.
To be honest, sometimes. You got a family of 5. If we fucking go and buy all the ingredients and we're buying good stuff, sometimes there's not that much difference in just ordering something. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can't be bothered. But by the time you put it all together and the delivery fee and this and that and then the tip, fuck me, it jumps up there big time. So I said, we got to stop doing this and start cooking. So tonight it is spaghetti bolognese with turkey instead of beef. And I'll be having, what is it called? What is it called? Instead of pasta, it is not spinach. What is it?
Spaghetti squash.
It's spaghetti. It's like a vegetable for the spaghetti.
I know what you're talking about.
Rebecca!
I know exactly what you're talking about. Zucchini squash.
Zucchini. There it is. Zucchini instead of pasta with a nice
I was
turkey.
about to judge the fuck out of you. I was like, you're having pasta and you're worried about the turkey instead of the beef?
Zucchini, bro. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's good.
They sell it at my. Do you do the spiraling yourself, or do you buy it already pre-spiraled?
No, we buy it pre-done. Come on, we're not psychopaths. We're not that sad, Lewis. We have a fucking life. I'm a very busy man. Okay, I guess that's our show for the day. That is us. We'll be back Thursday with another show. Please send in your questions. Tell your friends. Leave a 5-star review. Subscribe if you haven't to YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Leave a review. All that good stuff.
You're the man, dude. Thank you so much, guys. We love you guys. We'll be back later on in the week, sometime toward the end of the week. Peace. Enjoy your week.